Heyo. We got
Hey.
Tyler Pygott here and Ashley Rolkowski.
Yes.
Hey.
Yes, ma'am.
It is like, I don't know, Tuesdays with Tyler special edition.
Yeah, it's definitely a special edition.
Absolutely.
Ashley,
Yeah.
you are our marketing director and you help us bring in the leads. And so today we're talking about lead generation and all the magic that you do behind that. There's a couple things that we really want to talk about today. They include building value and trust in the marketing and sales process, why it's so important to have a good reputation, and then targeted outreach in sales, which that's part of sales, obviously. So that first point about building trust and value, Ashley, tell me about that. Tell me why it's important, how to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I think, as marketing has grown and evolved, and especially with the internet being a thing,
The World Wide
meeting
Web.
people, yes, the World Wide Web, as some may call it, meeting people where they're at, and providing value up front has become so much more important. So communicating in a way that's super helpful for them, whether that's through like an article or a podcast, whatever that thing is, we want to communicate in that way so that we're getting to our target audience exactly where they are and then providing them something that's super valuable. But that also goes into how your website is structured. So if you've been around us for any length of time or any sort of marketing agency, you've probably heard people say that people skim, they don't read. And so when you're structuring your website, you want to give people as little or as much information as they need. So that means having your content structured in a way that somebody could easily skim the page, but then when they're ready to learn more, when they've developed a little bit of a relationship with you, they can dive in deeper. So that could be offering more information about your services. It could be telling them about your team, whatever the things are that set you apart. It could be even offering pricing on your site, which I know is a much debated topic. But all of those things are helping provide value wherever your target audience is. The second piece to building value and trust with people, in my opinion, is giving more away. You've probably heard a lot about giving free things away to your audience. And my philosophy on it is to give away enough and then a little bit more. So that means giving away, never giving away like the secret sauce, but giving away just to that point where it's like you're not telling everybody exactly how you do it, but you're telling them almost exactly how you do it.
Like you get a little bit uncomfortable, like, oh my gosh, I almost don't want to say this, but I'm going to.
Yeah. And technology is great because my camera's out of focus, so I'm just going to go away here for a second and come back. Okay.
Nice work. On the fly.
It's magic. I said magic.
Like,
yeah, that was such a cool zoom filter. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. With the development of the World Wide Web, we've also developed webcams that go out of focus. Great.
So good.
Yeah, so I mean, that philosophy applies to basically everything that we create. So we're always asking like, oh, well, should we talk about that topic? Should we talk about how we create content on our site? And the answer is always yes, because if people want to do it themselves, that's great. But if you don't, we'll help you with it. And we have a really good method for doing it. And we're not afraid to show you what that method is in that process.
I feel like so many people have such a hard time with that idea of like giving things away, because I feel like people always have like these, oh my gosh, well then they'll know how to do it. And I'm giving away my secret sauce and I've worked forever to figure this out. And I'm the expert in all these things. And I just feel like it's kind of like I don't know, we can debunk that so fast with like, that's how you provide like value. It's how you provide value and attract people to come talk to you and build your expertise. So I don't know. I just feel like we get pushed back on that on a regular basis, which is, I get it, but at the same time I go, well, that's just kind of the norm right now. So
well, and if people don't get it from you, they're going to get it from somebody else.
Totally.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say is we talked, the first time this really came up was we wrote an article about one of the tools that we use to optimize articles for SEO. It's called ClearScope. And we had an internal discussion, like, should we tell people we use this tool? And the truth is that if that was all that our content strategy kind of hinged upon, it's probably not going to be very successful.
You shouldn't hire us either.
Yeah, because I mean, ClearScope wants more customers. They're going to find more customers, and you might hear about it at some point. So, don't be afraid to give some of those things away. The last thing about building value and trust I want to talk about is playing to your strengths. So when you start getting into developing, especially organic traffic, so creating kind of free traffic on your site, there's a lot of temptation to start talking about things that you don't really know about, just to get that like really easy keyword and to get traffic around it. And I 100% advise against that, because one, Google is getting smarter every day. They're all about providing value to your customers, and they're only going to continue getting better at that. But also, if you get them on your site and you're not providing value, they're just going to leave. So the whole point of creating content is to provide value, so that eventually those people become your customers. And if you're not writing about something that you're an expert in, people are going to figure that out really fast. So don't do it, waste time. Trick to that is collaborating with other experts. So one thing that you've probably seen Amanda do is she interviews a lot of people that are experts in other areas. And she brings those people in. All she has to do is kind of come up with a couple questions she wants to ask them, and she lets them talk about what they're experts in. So bringing in other experts to speak to things that you're not an expert in provides more value to your audience, continues to build that relationship and that trust with them. That kind of leads us into the reputation piece that Amanda was talking about earlier. Amanda, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Tyler and I can tag team this. Reputation is so important in our space, and Mr. Pyatt, you kind of built a reputation for Lone Fir.
That is true.
Tell us a little bit about that and
kind of what
that's solely alone?
No. Well, it's funny because like reputation, like in the early days, so, you know, solopreneur, you're just getting your business off the ground. It is all 100% about reputation. You're the only thing that's selling it. There is no brand. The brand is you. Like, that's it, you know? And then as you add another person, you're like, okay, the brand's still you. And then you can add 10 more people and probably the brand is still you. And then you start to kind of get to the spot where you are really pushing like the brand name and less about the individual. And so like over the last year, like I've like transitioned out of more client relationships and out of more like sales even relationships now. And a lot of it's just because, well, it's a way bigger. I didn't start to create the Tyler Pygott machine, the Tyler Pygott like empire. It's been way more about the brand, the team behind the brand, and those types of things. And so the reputation has evolved over time. But it's super important because you're always selling reputation. Like if you think of any brand you can think of right now that in like maybe the reason you thought of it. So whether it's technology and it's the computer you buy or the phone you buy or the car you buy or the grocery store you shop at or whatever, all of them have a reputation. And if you thought about it, you could come up with a couple describing words of it, you know? And so really as a business, you're trying to get to that spot. But as you're starting, it's all about people talking. And so it's all about positive reviews, and it's about treating people well and having them spread the word. And it's about maybe any partner strategies you have or partner channels that you're in. So, you know, for us, we're huge on HubSpot and huge on StoryBrand. Those are kind of our two big partner channels. And so we're always talking with people on those teams because we want them to know who we are and we want them to think about us in their sales conversations and those types of things. And so we're constantly trying to build that reputation from a partner strategy standpoint. But it's also super important to capture the work, the good work that you've done with different clients. So Amanda, why are testimonials and different sound bites from clients important?
Well, obviously, they speak louder than you will ever speak about your business. I mean, somebody else will ring your bell louder than you can ring your own. And so when you can capture the good work you've done for somebody else, it's going to be so much more impactful than if you were to just pat yourself on the back in front of somebody and ask them to give you money.
Very true. And there's tons of ways to capture them. You guys can all be creative and figure out how to capture testimonials, but super important to build that into your discipline because it does, even that alone helps build the reputation, you know, because it's like third-party validation. It's not you kind of tooting your own horn kind of thing. So that's super important. A couple other things about building your reputation that's really important is referrals. And so kind of having your team spread the word, having your clients spread the word, those types of things are, they can kind of build on each other. And it's a great way to kind of get your name out there, have other people talk about your reputation. Again, that third-party validation is awesome. And then I would just say, like, as far as your reputation goes, it's all about building a really healthy culture. Because your team is your representation of, is a representation of your reputation. We could start kind of like a small, if you put a beat behind that, we could like really go for it. Yeah. So, but your team, and so it's like building like certifications and expertise within your team It's, your team clout. So as far as like, the expertise and different, talents and kind of gurus that you can bring to your team that know a lot about the different tactics and activities and campaigns and stuff that you're launching is super important. And then having that healthy culture around that values it, and those people know that they're valued, is amazingly important, because those are like, from me in early days till now of kind of 20-ish employees, they're the representation of the brand. And we work with people and work with clients. And so those people have to be like an extension of the brand, and they have to have the right values and ways that they handle themselves and communicate and all that kind of stuff. And that's super important. So that continues to expand from there. So
the team cloud is a pain point for me right now. So I am in Packer territory, and like, true. Randall Cobb just came home. We're ecstatic, but now there's a rumor that Aaron Rodgers is actually really going to leave next year. Ooh. And I was just thinking, like, team clout, like, there are going to be true blue Packer fans that are going to be Packer fans no matter who's on the team because they love the Packers. Then there's going to be fans that follow the players. And it's the same with the business. Like, we're going to have fans that are Lone Fir fans because they love Lone Fir. But then we're going to bring people to our team that they're going to be fans of that team member, and they're going to want to follow them. And when an exciting player joins a football team, everybody's pumped about it. At least I'm pumped about Randall Cobb coming back. And so when a solid team member joins a team, like, it creates enthusiasm and excitement. It raises the morale. You can even bring in more fans or more clients if you grow your roster in a strong way.
Yeah, we're going to a lot of sports references, which I appreciate. So it's good. Obviously, Amanda had to slip in the Packers reference. So if you're a Packers fan, go Pack Go. That's exciting. If you're not, we hope we didn't lose you and that you'll still pay attention.
Sorry, that was polarizing. Yeah. Yes, I realized that.
I love it. All right, really fast before we wrap up, Amanda, touch on targeted outreach.
Absolutely. So targeted outreach is a solid way to grow leads. You have to be wise about it. So not just, targeted outreach can include things like paid efforts, direct outreach, and then even having a targeted offering to a specific audience. So when it comes to paid efforts, it's best to just not do a blanket spend or a blanket strategy on something, but it's really important to niche down on your audience or the offering that you're putting behind your paid efforts, and then also tracking the ROI with that. And you want to make sure that you're consistent with your messaging. So the messaging that you have in your ad should be the messaging that's in the landing page. That should be the messaging that's in the follow-up. That should be the messaging that's in the sales process. So just making sure that's all very consistent. And then targeted outreach to individuals. That could include, outreach via LinkedIn or email. It can include engaging with RFPs or contract bids, meeting people through networking groups. And then also having one-to-many contacts. And what that means is having one contact that can open you up to a large group. So whether that's a business consultant, whether that's somebody who's just a crazy fan of your brand that can introduce you to more people, it's important to nurture those relationships and to continue to grow them. And then lastly, a targeted targeted offering is a piece of content or a service or a process that is super valuable to a small group of people that you can serve really well in getting that out in front of them. So you're really honing in on your key audience and what you can do for them.
Love it. This is great. So we touched really briefly on some different kind of like marketing tactics and different things to do to help grow your business and grow your agency in particular in this one, but a lot of these apply towards general business as you guys are all building brands and everything. So hopefully that's helpful. If you guys have questions, throw them in the comments. I think we'll probably post this on YouTube and on LinkedIn and those types of things. Check them in the comments. We'd love to learn more about some of the things you're dealing with, or any ways we can help, solve those, or help kind of throw out ideas or brainstorm in any way. So thank you all for listening. We'll see you next week.